Welcome to episode 434, where I'm speaking with Vaidya Princy Prasad about the Ayurvedic view on hormonal regulation. We talk about how stress and burnout can affect our hormones, the relationship between the hormones and the doshas, and how our agni, our digestive fire, is key to our hormonal balance. And she teaches us how to observe our hormonal fluctuations, building awareness so that we can take care of our hormones throughout our life. So please stay tuned. Welcome to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. I'm your host, Colette. And if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend starting with the first few episodes where I introduce the foundations of Ayurveda and the doshas. To learn more, work with me, or explore my offerings, you can visit elementshealingandwellbeing.com. And for podcast updates, join me on Instagram at Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. And before we begin, just a quick note to say that this podcast is for educational and inspirational purposes only. It's not intended as medical advice. Now let's dive into this episode. Hello and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. I'm very happy to welcome back Vaidya Princy Prasad, who is an educator and practitioner of the science of life Ayurveda. Trained by experienced Vaidyas of Kerala, she has a special focus on orthopedic management and also on diverse health conditions. Obtaining her degree in Ayurvedic medicine and surgery and a master's degree in surgery from Kerala University of Health Sciences. She continued her research studies in Gujarat Ayurveda University for the fulfillment of Doctor of Philosophy. Having a clear understanding of the principles of Ayurveda, patient care, research, and development, she worked under Ayush Ministry in India and is currently working with Kerala Ayurveda USA, based in California. Vaidya Princy is passionate about teaching Ayurveda and has authored articles in Ayurveda in reputed journals and is the subject editor of International Journal for Ayush case reports also. Vaidya Princy, welcome back to the podcast. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you for that nice introduction and thank you for having me in your podcast.
Well, you have an amazing wealth of experience in Ayurveda, so I always enjoy picking your brain.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk about hormone regulation, and you're very passionate about this topic. So can you tell me why you're particularly passionate about the Ayurvedic view on hormones, why it means so much to you, and particularly why now?
Oh, why now? That is the question. Like, why now? Because, see, the menarche or the pregnancy or menopause, they all are physiological process. It should not happen with a lot of health issue. But nowadays we see that the menarche itself is going through a lot of health issues. Then throughout pregnancy and conceiving is becoming a problem. Like infertility issues are there. Then when they get into the menopausal age, they are going through a lot of health issues, health imbalances. So nowadays we get a lot of clients having these symptoms related to all these kind of transitional periods. So what we expect to happen in a smooth way is actually going through a lot of health issues, which we need to address now. And we see that there is a lot of burnout and there is irregularity in the cycles and the mood swings are there, right? So we see all this in addition to the work stress, relationship stress, and the family, the commute stress, everything that they are having this hormonal imbalance as well. So we need to help them to come out of this kind of issues, because what we are focusing is a healthy aging or healthy transition. So we need to help them to have a smooth life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it really is. Our society today is so on, and we're really Our senses are under siege all day, every day. We have so much information coming at us, let alone the responsibilities we have in our own life, personally and then professionally. It's a lot. In particular, with our senses, our nervous system is really just overburdened these days, right? And now you talk about stress and burnout. And how do stress and burnout affect the body and particularly the hormones?
Oh, yes. See, our body is under the control of like a lot of hormonal functions. If you take the example of cortisol, right? Mm-hmm. Cortisol, it's an adrenal gland related hormone. And it is released in the body when we are going through this kind of stressful condition. So it is a kind of flight or fight kind of hormone. So when we are in that flight or fight mode, these cortisols are released so that we can go through that kind of situation. But if we are letting our body to be always in that fight or flight mode, then there will be a higher level of cortisol throughout the day, and even in the night also there will be a high level of cortisol in our body, which is actually affecting our sleep as well. So if you are waking up in the middle of night with some kind of bad dreams or some other like disturbance in the sleep, it could be probably due to this high cortisol level, because you're not having a good sleep routine, or you're not having like a calm mind. Then this cortisol is actually affecting your sleep as well. Just like the cortisol, the estrogen and the progesterone, which are the reproductive hormones, which are kind of balancing and regulating the menstrual cycle throughout the reproductive age. The levels of the estrogen and progesterone is balancing all kind of reproductive functions, even the stabilization of pregnancy even. And when it goes out of balance, then there will be this kind of irregularity in the menstrual cycle. And later, when you get into the menopausal phase also, the dip in the progesterone and the estrogen fluctuations are actually causing all these kind of symptoms in your body, right? Mm-hmm. So these hormones should be regulated and should be released whenever it's needed. And the fluctuations and the irregularities are actually leading to all these kind of problems. And one more thing, like the estrogen and the progesterone hormone, it's actually the estrogen, especially, it is aromatized in our body from the androgenic hormone. So that conversion should happen with the help of a proper digestion. If there is no proper digestion, there is no proper agni in our body, this conversion will not happen. And there won't be enough estrogen and there will be more androgenic hormone, right? So the metabolism, the digestion and metabolism, the agni is also so relevant. And nowadays we see a lot of thyroid related imbalances, especially the Hashimoto's and the other hypothyroid conditions are actually indicating the abnormality in the digestion and metabolism. When the body is going through this kind of disruption of metabolism and the conversion of the food to other particles, then this kind of thyroid hormone imbalance can come in our body. And the same way, insulin resistance in young girls and in the women also, we see this kind of insulin resistance, which is leading to obesity and other hormonal issues, which can affect their menstrual cycle. So all these hormones, when they are balanced and regulated well in our body, we can see that we are in a healthy state and all our functions are happening normally.
But the root, as you're saying, is the agni, the digestive fire.
Definitely. The root is agni. See, the hormones are chemical messengers. They can convert one thing to other thing inside our body. And they are helpful in transition of certain phases in our body, whether it is at the cellular level or the tissue level or at the like total system level. They are helping in conversion. That means agni is the one which is helping in this kind of smoother transition. And we need to make sure that the agni, the central agni and the other supporting agnis are functioning well so that it can help with this kind of smooth transition of all functions in our body.
Because we have the central Jatara Agni in the stomach, digesting our food, and then all the other 7 dhatus or tissues have their own Agnis as well.
It goes beyond that level at the cellular level, the Bhudagnis as well, the 5 elements, right?
Right.
At the cellular level also we need this kind of like energy release, like mitochondrial processing is happening and other energy releases, ATP release is happening. So at that level also we can see that this kind of energy conversions are there, and there also we need this agni.
That being the intelligence of each cell. So each cell can carry out its function and provide the ATP energy and so on.
Definitely.
But it all comes back to Agni, as you said. If the primary digestion is not functioning optimally, then it's going to have a knock-on effect on the rest of that process.
Exactly.
So let's move on to talking about the relationship between the hormones and the doshas.
Yes. See, all our bodily functions are under the control of these 3 energies, like Vata, which is representing the wind energy, Pitta, which is representing the fire energy, Kapha, which is representing the water energy, right? So when these 3 are in equilibrium, all our functions will be happening very smoothly. But when the functions are disrupted, we see this kind of lot of imbalances, and we see a lot of other health-related symptoms as well. So that means the functional aspect is the dosha, right? The doshas are the functional aspect. Likewise, chemical messengers are the hormones. So that means the hormones are the ones which convert and perform certain functions in our body. So sometimes we see that the pitta, the fire, which is mostly equivalent to this kind of hormones, certain hormones like liver and the thyroid related hormones are definitely pitta related hormones, right? But their release is actually under the control of vata. Right? Because vata or the wind energy is responsible for all kind of movements in our body. So if the hormone is moving from one part of the body to the other part of the body and it is released from some gland, then vata is responsible for that release. And the ability to convert one thing to other is coming from the pitta. So that functional aspect of this hormones are from the pitta side. And the stability and the building function and the cohesive action of these hormones are actually coming from the kapha aspect of this hormones. So we cannot, generally we say that pitta hormones are related to pitta only, but we need both vata and kapha to help with the regulation of these kind of hormones.
So each dosha plays its part. Vata for movement, Pitta for transforming the chemical messages, and then Kapha for the stabilization and cohesion. And so if there are imbalances in the doshas, we can see that this could really affect the hormones as a result.
Yes, that is the major issue. It may not be in the hormones actually, but if we are having general Vata imbalance due to our diet and lifestyle, or due to the environmental changes, or if you're traveling, and if you're not sleeping well, and if you're constantly under stress or anxiety, or Vata can undergo some kind of imbalance, and that will have some kind of impact on the hormones as well. So let's say Vata is responsible for the wind energy, and it is responsible for the release and movement of these hormones. If Vata is not under control or like aggravated in our body due to our diet and lifestyle or not having a good routine, then what happens? The body will not feel like, okay, I'm in a safe condition. So it will release these hormones sometimes more than what needed. sometimes it is not released like in enough quantities. So if more cortisol is released, then we will be having other health issues related to that high cortisol levels. But we need that cortisol. We need that cortisol to go through this kind of like daily activities. If it is not released also, then it will be a problem. So the fluctuations. So the fluctuations in this release and this untimely release of this hormones are actually the problems related to general vata aggravation in our body. Likewise, pitta. Pitta. If pitta is too much there in our body, then there is a tendency for this hormone to get released at improper times, right? So the liver related and the digestion related, if those hormones are released too early or too slow, then it can affect our digestion. Then ultimately they will end up in having this kind of irritable bowel kind of situation, right? Absorption deficient. And there will be like ulcerations because the food is not there, but the hormones and enzymes are released. So what will it digest? It will digest and it will try to burn the mucosal layer. That will end up in having this kind of ulcerations in our stomach or in the intestine. And these ulceration, this inflammation lead to further absorption related issue and further digestion related issue. And that will go on like a cycle for many years. And unfortunately, many people will not recognize like all these symptoms they leave all these kind of symptoms like unnoticed for many years till they get into some kind of like complex situation or advanced stage of the disease. That is when they are coming to us. But there are like fundamental principles that we need to follow, like sleep properly, having a routine, and allow that digestion or fire to get released at proper times, right? And help with the smoother digestion, elimination. They're all like very fundamental things that we can follow so that we can prevent this kind of like unhealthy or like practices, and later we can prevent a lot of health issue later in our life.
Yes, absolutely. And you talk about how a lot of people don't even recognize these symptoms. So can you give us some guidelines of how the listener could start observing their hormonal fluctuations and building more awareness around that? And, you know, maybe talk about in general and then dosha specific symptoms. That would be great.
Yes. See, in Ayurveda, there is a root textbook called as Ashtanga Hridaya. In the first chapter of Ashtanga Hridaya, it is written that this book is written for those who cannot observe the changes happening in the nature. If you cannot observe the changes happening in nature, I have written all those information here in this textbook. Please read this textbook and follow my instructions and guidelines so that you can lead a healthy life, right? So, as a normal human being, we should be able to notice the changes that are happening around us and in our body, right?
But we're so distracted.
Yes. But nowadays we are so distracted with like a lot of other things, even the tech gadgets and all, like scrolling and all, it's there. So we forget to notice what is happening in the environment and in our body. But when you take the example of like any animal, they will feel like if they are having some issue in their gut, they will start grazing on some kind of grass or something like that because they notice what is happening in their body, right? And for us, we are like, okay, we will live like this, but let others take care of our health and all. But it is our responsibility to observe what is happening in our body and in the environment and live accordingly. So live accordingly, the seasonal, according to that seasonal variation, the circadian rhythm, following the circadian rhythm is so important, and different phases of life. Like when we are a child, we are in a growing phase. When we are in adulthood, we are in the active phase of our life, right? And when we enter into the old age, we have to slow down. We have to slow down a little bit, because that phase is like a Vada dominant stage. So if we know that we are in an adult stage, or we have to be very active and productive, we should do that. But when we are young or like old, we should slow down a little bit. I'm not asking anyone to like just lie down and rest, take a rest throughout the old days. No, but burning out or like overexertion is not good, right? So if you're not able to observe the changes in your body, then we are in trouble. But if you're observing, you will observe the changes in your mood, in your digestion, the changes in your sleep, the cycle patterns, just like the menstrual cycle pattern, right? And the variations, even when you take the example of menstrual cycle, whether they are appearing every 28 days, or whether the cycles are getting shortened or prolonged, the color of the menstrual blood, right? And any other PMS symptoms, how bad the PMS symptoms are. So these observations on your digestion, on your mood, on your sleep, the various cycles and metabolism help us to understand how healthy we are and how much deviations or imbalances are there in our body, especially related to these hormones. And then we will be able to find a solution for this kind of imbalances. Mm-hmm. So just make sure that you are feeling hungry, right? You're feeling hungry for your meal. So feeling hungry for your meal means the body is getting ready to digest the food. Your digestion actually starts by seeing the food, by smelling the food, right? That itself will stimulate the brain, and it will start releasing all these digestive enzymes in your body. So if you're not feeling hungry, that means your body is not ready to digest the food, right? So the hormones and the digestive enzymes are not released yet. So feeling hungry is the first thing. Then I always ask this question to my clients. Okay, you're feeling hungry, but are you sure that you are digesting the food that you are consuming, right? Are you able to digest it? Do you get any kind of bloating or gas or acidity after you have your meal, right? So that assimilation, that feeling hungry, and also the assimilation and the absorption, all these are important in digestion. And that doesn't end there, the elimination as well. If you're not eliminating through the urine, through the fecal route, or through the sweat route, then your body is accumulating all the stores. So having a regular bowel movement, frequent urination and sweating is actually helping us to understand that the food is digested well, and it is whatever the after products are eliminated out from the body as well. So these are simple things that we can notice, but some days we are in a so much hurry to our workplace, to our work, other routine. We forget whether we are hungry or not. We just have something and we will just rush to our workplace. So if you don't feel hungry, just do something. Just do something so that your agni is kindled up, and it is ready. It is ready to digest the food that we are eating. Sometimes I feel like my tongue is coated. I feel like my tongue is coated. It's not like I see my tongue is coated. I feel like my tongue is coated. That means my body is telling me you're not okay to take any more food, because I don't want any more food. So I'm not giving you that like feeling of taste in your tongue. So your digestion is not good, right? So I just have to understand this, and I need to give some time for the body to deal with that situation. And after I get okay with that condition, I can start having food again. So just like, it's not actually fasting, but giving some time for the body to reset its functions, right?
And I think it's all about building awareness. Sometimes I find with clients, they're even not sure if they are hungry. Am I just eating because it's a certain time on the clock? Or am I really hungry? Am I emotionally eating because I just ate and now I'm wanting something else? So I think taking that pause and checking in. And if you're not sure, I think it's a great idea to have some hot water that would help kindle the agni, but also hydrate you, because sometimes we can confuse dehydration with hunger. And, it's good to just build the awareness around all this. And you talked about also, the cycle and your symptoms. And I think this is where technology can help us, because if you have a cycle app that every month you can put in your symptoms and track the length of your cycle, I think these are really important things to be doing nowadays, especially as you're heading into your perimenopausal years, is to keep track of the symptoms. What's your PMS like? How long is your cycle? And you can see the starts of the fluctuations, and you have all that information there when you see a practitioner then.
Exactly. Yeah. Nowadays we are having help from all this kind of technology related support. So it's easy for us. We don't have to do it by ourselves. So just use those things, right? Just use those things, and don't ignore your body's signs and symptoms, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Sleep is also like that. If you are sleeping like 7 or 8 hours, right? We are actually sleeping 8 hours in 24-hour cycle. That means almost 1/3 of our life we are sleeping, right? But we need that kind of shutting down, or that kind of rest to become more productive, so that our systems can reset all this kind of metabolic activity, all this kind of hormonal releases, so that it can function better next day. But sometimes we ignore that as well. If our sleep is disturbed, we feel like, okay, I got that 8 hours sleep. But if it is disturbed or not, we are not realizing it, right? We are not paying much attention whether it is disturbed. You need to sleep well. You need to sleep sound so that you get enough rest. But if you're not getting a sound sleep, like even if you're sleeping for 6 hours or like 7 hours, 8 hours, doesn't matter. You need to get rest to help the body to reset your function for the next day. So these are really important as you are going into the next phases of life, like the perimenopausal and the next phase, like old age kind of situation. We should be very careful about this kind of situation.
Yeah, I think it's so important. As you said at the start, it's our responsibility to take care of our health. And I know sometimes that can feel like, oh, another responsibility I have, but this is our temple. This is our body. It's the only one you have. You want it to be healthy. You want it to be vital into old age. And we want smooth transitions, especially through perimenopause. So the more that you support it throughout these years, the more it will give you that vitality and that stamina into your elder years. And I think that's such important advice. And also just on the topic of sleep, it's also important the timing of this, right? The timing of sleep, because, going to bed at 10 p.m. is very different from going to bed at 1 a.m. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's an important topic to discuss further.
That's really important because I get a lot of clients in their late 20s or early 30s, like mostly working in tech field. They work late at night. They feel it totally normal. Totally normal. They are having that screen time and they are sleeping at 1 and waking up at 11 next day, right? So they are telling me like, okay, I'm getting like almost 10 hours sleep. Then what is the problem?
Right.
But are you aligned with the nature's rhythm? Because the sun is actually rising up around that morning times, 5, 6, 7, depends on the season and other variation. And that is the time when the whole environment or the nature is waking up, right? And our body will get like warmed up and our systems will start functioning around that morning time. And when the sun is on the top, the pitta and the functionality is also on the peak, right? Then we are supposed to be active. Like during the daytime, we are supposed to be active and productive. That I agree. Then as the sun is setting down and the nature is like winding down, we also need to wind down. We also need to calm down, right? And like having a dinner early, like an early dinner by 6, 7 or maximum 8 is ideal because that is the maximum time up to which the sun is there, right? So sun is there, the heat is there, then our pitta will be active till that time. If you are having a late dinner, like after 10 or 11, there is no like such fire or heat from the sun to help with the digestion. So during the daytime, when the sun is up, you will be getting enough help from the nature with that heat and all, and the food that you're eating will be digested and will be helpful for this metabolism. And when the sun is down, the nature is down, then we have to sleep. We have to sleep. So 10, 11, latest by 11, if you're on the bed and if you try to sleep by that time, that is a good routine because like you had your dinner by around like 6, 7 or 8 and you give another 2, 3 hours for the food to digest. And if everything is done, you are good for the day and you can sleep now. Right?
Yeah.
And then your system will get enough rest and next day morning, again, you can be active when the sun is up. So it is more aligned to the nature.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think nowadays we need more of a phasing down to sleep. So shutting down technology like an hour before you go to bed, trying to dim the lights because, again, going back to sensory overload, we're so stimulated by the lights from our screens. It's really important to try to calm the nervous system before bed so that we can get asleep. Because oftentimes if we're scrolling just before bed, we can be so stimulated, it's hard for our nervous system to unwind to sleep, right?
That is so important. That is so important because see, when you are looking at the screen and when you're watching a movie, actually within a fraction of a second, the frames are moving, right? A lot of frames are moving. That is why we are able to watch it as a movie. That means our mind is continuously trying to focus to that kind of moving frames. A lot of movement is happening, right? So that we can see that movie. So that movement is actually happening due to vata. If more movement is there, then more vata will aggravate in your body. Like in general, it's not about the hormones I'm talking. Like in general, the vata will aggravate in your body if you are moving a lot, right? And this general vata aggravation can eventually affect your hormonal balancing, because any vata imbalance, any vata aggravation can ultimately end up in having this kind of disruption in the hormonal systems as well. So we need to ground our vata. We need to ground our vata so that no movements are there in our mind and in our body. And that grounding and winding down is actually helping us to get a good sleep. And that is how we can regulate the hormonal balance as well. Because if your vata is out of control, then in the middle of the night, we will wake up. We will wake up because cortisol is released. High cortisol level is there in your body because of that kind of movement, right? So improper movement will lead to this kind of untimely release of the hormones, and you will stay awake throughout the night without any proper sleep. That will affect your health next morning. So you will wake up like tired and sluggish next morning, and you cannot be productive next day. So that is why we need a proper routine, and this kind of winding down kind of lifestyle should be there, so that we have a control over this vata, maintain the pitta dosha, help the kapha, natural healthy kapha to build up in our body, so that it can stabilize other systems in our body. So if we let the body to create a plan for us, then it will help us to regulate all our hormonal function throughout our different phases of life. Even this is so relevant in the menopause and menopausal time.
This episode is sponsored by Kerala Ayurveda Academy and Wellness Center and their online store at Kerala Ayurveda Store. If you're looking for high quality, traditionally prepared Ayurvedic herbal formulas, their products are crafted according to classical Ayurvedic principles and designed to support balance at every stage of life. For women's health in particular, consider powerful rejuvenating herbs like Shilajit, known in Ayurveda for vitality and strength. Ashwagandha, a deeply nourishing adaptogen that supports resilience and hormonal balance. And Menovin, a thoughtfully formulated blend created to support women through the natural transitions of midlife. Whether you're supporting energy, mood, stress response, or overall vitality, you'll find authentic practitioner-trusted options at keralaayurveda.store. And as a listener of the podcast, you can receive 10% off your order by using the coupon code WELCOME10. That's WELCOME10 at checkout. Let's talk about that transition to perimenopause, which can be up to 10 years, right, before menopause.
Yes. So just like the menarche and pregnancy, the menopause is also like a physiological process. It should happen. We cannot avoid it. It should happen, right? It should happen. If we are born, if you are going through the life cycle, we are expected to go through that kind of menopausal situation also. But in some ladies, we can see that it is the changes and the symptoms, the imbalances are happening like very early. Like even in the beginning of the 40s or itself, they are experiencing a lot of symptoms, and that can stay for many years. Like even after menopause, that can stay for many years, affecting their day-to-day activities, right? So if you try to understand what is really happening in menopause, the normal physiological variations in the menopause, the active reproductive life is actually the pitta phase in our body. Because the fire is on the top, we are productive, we are active. That is the pitta phase in our body, right? So from that pitta phase of the life, we are entering into a vata phase, because the reproductive functions are not needed anymore. The procreation is not happening, right? So the reproductive system is entering into a vata phase of cycle, right? So it's a pitta to vata transition. That is a normal physiology that is happening in that transitional period, Pitta to Vata transition. But sometimes we see a lot of like dryness, sleep disturbances, mood swings, right? All these are actually under the control of Vata because wind is responsible for all these kind of movements and dryness, lightness, right? So if more Vata is there beyond what we are expecting to be there, then there will be more Vata related symptoms, right? If more Pitta is there still in their body, and which is not expected because the Pitta has to be transitioned to the Vata phase, right? If still more Pitta is there, then there will be hot flashes, then burning and skin related changes will be there. Then again, the mood swings can relate to the Pitta issues. That will be more like anger related issues, right? So the Pitta can lead to this kind of uh, like heating and other related issue, and Vata can lead to this kind of issue if they are not balanced. But what we are aiming is we need to have that transition in a smoother way with that Pitta and Vata in a like a balanced state. But it's not only Pitta and Vata. If like Kapha is there, more Kapha is there, then there will be obesity, there will be sluggishness, depression, and water retention, insulin resistance. All this sluggishness and that heaviness is actually due to this Kapha imbalance. So any three dosha, any of these can go through this kind of imbalanced state, and it will lead to this kind of symptoms. So we need, what our focus is to have a control over this doshas, especially that when that transition is happening.
Right. And that begins, as you said, in the Pitta phase of life. Now, the Pitta phase of life is from puberty to menopause. And this is like the fire phase that you talked about, the active phase. We're building a career, maybe building a family. It's all outward. It's really making our mark on the world. And then that fire starts to unwind as we go through perimenopause. And then we move into the Vata stage of life, or what I like to call the wisdom stage of life, as Ayurveda says. And so it really is how you live in this Pitta stage of life is going to determine your transition through into the Vata stage of life, right? So what you're doing in regards to living in tune with the circadian rhythm, your digestion, like all that's going to have an effect on this transition.
Exactly. That is where this Ayurvedic guidelines are playing a major role, because regardless whether we are in our Pitta phase or in our Vata phase, we have to follow certain regimens, seasonal regimen, daily regimen, which is actually helping in a smooth transition of all these phases, right? So we can generally see that a lot of Vata imbalance is happening during this perimenopausal transition because a lot of ladies complain about the dryness and vaginal dryness and mood swings more than the other features. So we need to have a control over this Vata because we are entering into that Vata phase itself, right? So we need to make sure that the Vata is healthy, Vata is in a more balanced state so that we are entering into that wisdom phase without any imbalances, without any symptoms. Okay. So the medicine or the healing at this stage is actually the regularity in our lifestyle, the activities. And the nourishment. Because Vata needs more grounding. So you need to provide enough nourishment and provide that kind of routine in your life so that the smooth transition is happening. Okay. That is not something to be done exactly at the menopausal phase. exactly at the menopausal year, but you should do it throughout your life, especially when you are in your active phase of life, the pitta phase of life. You cannot, you cannot let your body like burn out or distract and leave a lot of vacant spaces. You need to nourish your body. You need to maintain all the dhatus in the healthy state so that your vitality or the ojas is in its optimum level. And that optimum level of ojas or the vitality throughout the pitta phase will actually help in a smooth transition during the menopause itself. So don't worry if you haven't done that in your active phase of life. What else we can do? What we can do in actually in that menopausal phase, right? Just like I mentioned, try to control your vata. Try to balance your vata. Try to have a control over the pitta and this kapha energies as well. So balance between these three doshas through the Ayurvedic guidelines, dietary regimen, lifestyle, seasonal regimen will definitely help you to go through this kind of transitional phase.
Yeah, and it is that simple, really. Like what you do day in, day out affects your agni, your doshas. And we're not talking about rigidity here, but we're talking about the awareness of the circadian rhythm. And especially grounding vata now is important for all of us. We live in a vata aggravating world right now. So it's really a paramount importance that we all have this awareness of grounding vata. And that means aligning with the nature. And unfortunately, in our society, we've got away from that. And that's one of the most important rules, right? Is living in tune with nature. It doesn't have to bring rigidity or stress, but it's just having the awareness that that's the ideal.
Exactly. That is the best word to define it, like in tune with the nature, right? So the morning routine, the grounding practices and tongue scraping and oil pulling or having like a gentle massage in the morning itself, that is the best way to kickstart the day with a fresh level of this kind of doshas in our body, right? Then, like I said, midday and in the evening, having that kind of practices like when the sun is on the top, where you have to have your biggest meal, like the lunch, because it will be digesting. It will be digesting if you are having that biggest meal during the daytime when your pitta is in the active stage, right? So that will help the body to absorb all these kind of nutrients. And in the afternoon also, one more thing that I would like to add to what you said, it's like I have noticed and many people complaining about this, like afternoon crash, like 3 to 4 or 5-ish kind of time. They feel like they are so hungry, they will have to eat something, otherwise they will fall, right? That kind of feeling is there. That is exactly the vada time or that wearing out of like all the energy. So have something around that time if you're not able to have any proper food at that, because we are not expecting to eat anything around that 4-ish or 5-ish time, right? So have something like soaked nuts or dry fruits with some milk, or it's a traditional practice in India, at least in Kerala, we will have an evening tea, like milk tea will be there for the evening. So something like that with some nuts or soaked nuts or with milk or something which is more grounding can be taken around that evening time.
Great. And then let's talk about herbal support during the perimenopause and that transition into menopause. And particularly, obviously I'm always hesitant to give herbal advice because it's very, dependent on each individual. It needs to be tailored to each individual. You need to get this guidance from a practitioner and making sure that, you're getting professional guidance is really important, because it absolutely needs to be tailored to you. Because if you're taking the wrong herb, it could drive you further into imbalance, right? With that said, is there particular herbs that you want to talk about in regards to hormonal health?
Yes, that is really important because, like I said, uh, it's a transition, Pitta to Vata transition, especially during this menopausal time, right? So we need to assess how much Vata is there and how much Pitta is imbalanced. So based on that assessment only, the practitioners usually suggest this kind of herbs, right? It is to balance whatever is aggravated. So it's not like a just one supplement to all or one herb to all kind of symptoms. If it is more vata related symptom, we generally advise ashwagandha or this kind of shatavari, brahmi kind of herbs to balance it, right? But if it's more like a pitta imbalance, then we need to cool it down. We need to cool it down. Then we would generally recommend this guluchi and lothra and something with this rose or those kind of cooling, sandalwood, those kind of cooling kind of herbs will be there. But that is always based on the assessment. So that is why I would strongly recommend you to get a consultation and get it assessed by a practitioner, and the assessment and that kind of protocol will help you to balance that doshas in a perfect way. So that well tailored protocol actually help to balance that doshas in a most appropriate way. So that's not enough, like not the vata balancing and pitta balancing. We need to make sure that your digestion or the pitta, the agni is also functioning normally, because if any food is to be absorbed, digested or eliminated, we need that agni, right? So just to make sure that your agni is also functioning well, we usually include some kind of herbs like triphala, or having more turmeric or ginger into your diet as a herb or as a spice in your food. It generally helps in improving the digestion, and it will make sure that whatever you are having around that time or that transition time, it is digested without any other other imbalances. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're not only managing symptoms, but you're also getting to the root of the issue as well.
Yes. And we have another product called as Menovin that is kind of balancing all three doshas and addressing all these kind of symptoms. So if you're just picking shatavari or just ashwagandha, it may be focusing on like one or two doshas. But this Menovin product actually contains shatavari in it, plus a lot of other herbs.
I also wanted to talk to you about the liver, because the liver is processing all these hormones, right? And liver health is always important because it carries out so many functions of the body, but in particular during perimenopausal transition, right?
Yes, definitely. Because liver is actually the powerhouse or the origin of the pitta or all kind of digestion related activity. It's liver and liver related other organs which are present around that duodenal area. So all these organs are actually helping in that smooth digestion and assimilation of the food. And liver is the organ responsible for the filtration of all the toxicity out from our body as well. So if the liver and related hormones and enzymes are not functioning normally, then we will be in trouble, like having all these issues in our body. So to make sure that your liver is also functioning normally and you have a good digestion and the metabolism is happening normally, you need to have a good agni, right? And if something is going on with the liver and liver related function, you need to correct that situation. When you want to address the issues related to the liver and the agni, we generally use this herbs like guduji, right? Then bhumi amalaki is there, philandus is there, and then that will actually help to control the inflammation in the liver. And some other herbs like gugulu, triphala, all this will help to scrape out that unwanted coating or the problems like fatty liver, right? So these herbs will help the liver to soften up a little bit more, and that will in turn help in releasing the digestive enzymes and hormones in a better way. So that also need to be assessed properly, and under the guidance of a practitioner only, you can take all these herbs, because just like any other organ, liver also may undergo through pitta related imbalance or kapha related imbalance. So after a proper assessment, the practitioner will be able to help you with the perfect protocol for you, and you'll be able to have a control over all these kind of imbalances.
Yeah, because you really need to love your liver, particularly during this transition as it processes all these fluctuating hormones, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Liver, kidney, heart, because during menopause, we can see a lot other changes happening in the heart as well, because the estrogen progesterone imbalance can lead to this kind of cardiovascular system related issues as well. So arteriosclerosis, atherosclerosis, coronary artery disease are very common later during this kind of menopause related phase. So hormonal imbalance, or if the liver is not able to convert this steroid or androgenic hormone to the proper form, this kind of accumulation can happen in the channels, in the deep channels, especially related to the circulatory system. And that is why we are seeing a lot of this cardiovascular and kidney related issues after or during that menopausal phase. Even some kind of cancer type of condition, that is also related to this kind of hormonal imbalance. If more estrogen is there and the body is becoming sensitive to this kind of estrogen, there will be a chance of endometrial cancer or breast cancer. So having a control over all these kind of hormones by regulating pitta, by regulating agni, by balancing the vata is very important to prevent this kind of heart related issue, cancer related issue, liver related issue from happening.
Yeah, it is about keeping that balance. And that's why in the pitta phase of life, you really have an impact on how your transition will be in the later stage of that pitta phase when you're going through perimenopause and menopause. So it starts early, and just having the awareness of this can really help and really put you in a good place, so that you're aware of what's going on, you're keeping track of your cycle, you're living in tune with nature and with your own true nature. And that's going to really set you up for vitality, longevity, and hormonal balance. Right? Vaidya Princy, this is great. As we finish up here, is there anything else that you wanted to add? And also I want to ask you about Kerala Ayurveda Academy, where you're teaching.
Okay, so women's health is really an important topic, because recently I actually presented a paper in India in a conference about women's health. The topic was like the relevance of Ayurveda in women's health, like a global view, right? So how people are approaching Ayurveda for this women's health related issue. So people are looking forward this kind of issues worldwide, and Ayurveda can help a lot by correcting the diet, lifestyle, and integrating practices with some herbs and supplements. So it is very relevant nowadays. It's like a very relevant topic, and we need to invest more time to think about it and to apply all these principles into our lives. So that's really important. And the awareness about this, and actually in our consultation and in our clinic, we are trying to educate people. We're trying to educate people in our consultation. Also, we conduct courses, different certification program and short programs, where we are sharing all this kind of information to bring that awareness into that community. So anyone, if you are interested in joining any of these courses or want to have a consultation, please reach out to us. We are here to help you, and actually to build a healthy community around the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're doing an amazing job at spreading the awareness of Ayurveda. And I will put the links to Kerala Ayurveda Academy in the show notes. But this is the journey, right? It's the journey of awareness with Ayurveda and building that awareness. And then it just becomes natural to live in tune with this wisdom of Ayurveda. But Vaidya Princy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Colette, for having me and giving me the opportunity to share some of this information with your listeners. Thank you for that.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Vaidya Princy. Lots of great advice given there. And please check the show notes for the links mentioned. And if you would like support on balancing your hormones, bringing balance to your agni, your digestive fire, which is the root of any hormonal issues, then please check out my online services. I have online consultations. I have the Digestive Reset Cleanse. The next discounted group cleanse starts April 17th, but you could do a private cleanse at any stage. And I have lots more available on my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. And if you have any questions before you book any of my services, then take advantage of my free 15-minute services inquiry call. We can hop on Zoom and I can answer all of your questions. If you think that this episode will be helpful to family or friends, please share it with them. And if you're finding benefit in this podcast, I would appreciate a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to follow or subscribe so the new episodes download automatically for you. And please come join me on social media. On Instagram, it's Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. And on Facebook, it's Elements Healing and Wellbeing. And until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.